Do not go naked here, the truth about getting off the ship earlier, and what to know about this place before you play. There are a lot of tips out there about cruising, but I'll bet that what I'm about to share with you will be some of the most unusual that you've heard about making your cruise better. They are all things I think many people need to know, even if they are a little bit strange, a little unknown, or just offbeat. So let's dive in. The idea of a private balcony on a cruise is exciting. You pay a little bit more and you get $1 million view that you cannot get anywhere else. And I don't think you'd be an adult if you didn't think about, well, adult things that you can enjoy in your own little private space. So, thinking about sunbathing al fresco on your balcony, or you want to get a little frisky with your partner in the fresh air. One tip is to keep in mind that your balcony actually isn't all that private. The dividers between the balconies are low to allow wind to pass through. There are also several inches above the floor to allow water to flow during a rainstorm or when they're cleaning the balcony. And often there is a space on the edges where you can see the reflection of the balcony next to you in the glass wall. That means anyone in the balcony next to you could easily see what's going on without too much effort or without even really trying. During your cruise, you will have a cabin steward that tends to your cabin each day. They do things like clean the room, restock anything that's needed like towels or toilet paper, and make the bed. But one tip is to ensure that if you leave the cabin, you do a quick pass through and you don't leave anything laying out that you don't want them to see. So if you did something like sneak on alcohol, or if you brought a special outfit to spice things up on your vacation, be sure to put those away. Otherwise, there might be some awkwardness the next time that you see the cabin steward, and you will see them again. Let's be real about something that many people are doing on a cruise: sneaking on alcohol. On Cruzely.com, I conducted a survey a few years back, and at that time, 13% of the respondents admitted to having snuck alcohol onto a cruise ship. So yeah, it does happen. So what happens if you're caught? Well, if found, the alcohol will be confiscated and likely destroyed. While the language in the contract you agree to has some harsh penalties for breaking the rules, up to being disembarked, in reality, that's probably not going to happen. It's likely just going to be that the alcohol is taken away from you and you go on your way. Now, I won't get into the best ways to sneak it on, but in the one instance when I travel with somebody who did, those collapsible rum runner pouches seem to work like a charm. Are you a member of the LGBTQ community? Or maybe you are someone who has battled issues with alcohol, which on a cruise, there's definitely a lot of temptation. Or maybe you're a single cruiser looking for someone to spend some time with while enjoying your trip. One thing that you might not realize is that there are a number of meetups for different groups during many cruises. They're usually self-led, but the daily planner will list a time and a place for the meeting. One thing to know is that if you're looking for the meeting for those with alcohol addiction, it's normally listed as Friends of Bill W. after the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. Swimsuit, suntan lotion, a jacket? Wait, what? Yes, it is a little bit weird, but even if you are headed to the tropics when we are all thinking about swimsuits and t-shirts, you should always pack a few items of warm clothing. If a rainstorm hits, it can cool down in a hurry. And in the evening when the ship is sailing from port to port, it can get downright cold on a fast-moving cruise ship with the wind whipping around. Having something with long sleeves and a hood can be a lifesaver. One tip that no one else really tells you is that when you eat in a restaurant on the ship, you can often think of the menu merely as a suggestion. The normal rules that you see in a restaurant, they don't really apply on a cruise. The menu in the main dining room, it changes every day. If you want to try something that's not there today, chances are you can still get it made for you if you just ask. Cruise line staff are no strangers to going out of their way to make guests happy. The same goes for ordering what you want. Just because you're asked for an appetizer, a main entree, and a dessert doesn't mean you can only have one of each. If you want to try multiple dishes, then go right ahead and order it. If you just want to eat appetizers, that's allowed. Just order what you want. This one is a little strange because most people, including me for a long time, would never think to pack a shoe organizer. After all, if you're packing enough shoes that you need a shoe organizer on your cruise, frankly, you were doing it wrong. But what this is good for is hanging over the bathroom door and giving you tons of spots to put in small items. I like to use it for things like bottles of sunscreen, sunglasses, towel clips, among other things. It puts them all in one organized place instead of cluttering up the entire room. Now, casinos are a major focus of a cruise, especially in the evening where they can be absolutely packed. And for the most part, the casinos are similar to what you find on land. There's the slot machines, there's blackjack, craps, and video poker. But I've talked in other videos about how there are also some unusual games here. Things like the coin pusher machine, the skill crane where you grab the cash, and the key pusher game. They often make appearances in cruise casinos. Before you play, you should know that while some of these games look like complete skill, they do involve luck. The skill cranes, for instance, they are programmed to only have enough grip to actually pick up the cash occasionally. It is a casino after all. For more on what to know about the cruise casino, I've included a link in the video description to one of my other videos that is dedicated to the topic. You should know that in general, cruising, it's pretty safe when it comes to being a victim of crime or your health. Even so, you have a right to be informed, as people do get sick on cruise ships, and yes, crime does happen occasionally. That's why the US government has some public reporting on health and crime statistics on cruise ships that you can check before you sail. For instance, the CDC runs a vessel sanitation program that's similar to a health inspection for a restaurant on land. You can look up the recent reports and see what issues were found on the specific ship that you're sailing. There's also CDC reporting on gastro illness on cruise ships. When it comes to crime, the US Department of Transportation, they publish quarterly statistics by cruise line for major crimes like suspicious death and sexual assault. Now, I've put links in the description below on where you can find these documents. Don't tell anyone, but you can actually debark the cruise ship when you want when your trip ends. The cruise lines, they may call passengers deck by deck, but the process, frankly, it can take hours in some cases. If you already have all your bags and you want to leave, you can just head down whenever you like. The staff doesn't check what deck your cabin is on, and frankly, they simply want passengers off the ship so that they can get ready for the next group that's coming on the same day. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that lines can be extremely long to get off the ship right at the beginning of debarkation. Sometimes it's worth it just to relax for an hour and let the rush die down a little bit. But if you do have an early flight, don't feel like you're breaking the rules by going before your deck is called. When it comes to having a fling on the ship, your eyes might be tempted by the crew. They're generally young, fit, international, and seem to be having a whole lot of fun. But if you want to hook up on a cruise, then frankly keep looking elsewhere. Relations between passengers and crew are expressly prohibited. Look around and you'll likely find a notice somewhere, like the information guide on the stateroom TV, or as a little blurb in the daily planner. Reports are that it can cost a crew member their job instantly if it happens. One weird thing you may or may not notice while you cruise: cameras. We've gotten used to seeing security cameras everywhere in life, but ships really take it to a whole other level. There are security cameras watching every public area of the major cruise ships. So don't think you'll be able to sneak off and do something you shouldn't be doing, even if no one else is around. In fact, these cameras are required by law as a way to improve safety on board. And yes, they do work. I've personally been to the bridge of a cruise ship and you can see feeds coming in all over the ship. One place where there won't be cameras is in your cabin, although some balconies may have one that happens to show some of the area. Let's talk about something that seems to be growing in popularity: marijuana. In many states, it is now legal for recreational use, and even more allow it to be used for medicinal purposes. And then there are tons of CBD products easily available. One tip is to leave it at home. Even if your cruise sails from somewhere that it's legal or you have a prescription, cruise lines follow federal law, meaning it's a no-go. You'll likely see warning signs posted, and it's not just due to US law. Many places where ships sail to will also have laws against it. So, bottom line, it's a good idea to go ahead and just leave it at home, although I will say that I have definitely smelled it here and there on a cruise. When you sail, all your spending on the ship is done through your room key card that acts like a credit card tied to your onboard account. At the end of the cruise, it's automatically paid for with the payment method on file. But something offbeat you don't really hear about is that you should keep tabs on your account throughout the cruise. You can do so via the cruise line's app on your phone to make sure that all of the charges are legit. It doesn't happen often, but I have been on multiple cruises where an errant charge appears. If you find one, just let guest services know and they can get it removed. In my case, it's quickly been taken care of with no fuss. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you learned a few things from these tips that maybe you didn't know before you watched. Now, as usual, be sure to like and subscribe and all those good things. You can find more information about sailing on Cruzely.com, and don't forget to check out those links that I mentioned that are in the description below. Until next time, happy sailing.